Right, so one great thing about writing a book in the city in which you live is that you can go and look at the places and hang out in them, and I feel the history really. And this is uh, number 19 Abercrombie Square, which is behind the title of my new book, The Americans of Abercrombie Square. Americans being the opposite word because this was a key place for the Confederacy in the city. Now part of the University of Liverpool, but in the 1860s, 1865, 1863 to 65, this was the Confederate White House in Europe, as was coined. Characters who supported the South, who were from the South, hung out in this place, orchestrated campaigns to get the Confederacy recognised in the UK, in Britain, and in Europe, to raise funds to build a navy, and actually to assassinate President Lincoln, which is what the book's about. Principally, Commander James Dunwoody Bullock, his banker, a cotton merchant called Charles Prelude, who was married to a British woman and therefore could start a company up over here, very much a shell company, made rich through war. Curiously, after the war, Jefferson Davis himself, the president of the Confederacy, came here. So much of it was about statehood, being recognised as a state. Davis was former leader of a defeated non-nation in many ways, but he still came here in the hope of securing lucrative work for Royal Insurance, but the controversy was such that he couldn't take the job. So much to do with this building, to do with the spy antics during the war, inspired the book. So check the book out. And this is number 19 Abercrombie Square. So when you step inside 19 Abercrombie Square, you'll see this in the foyer. The very first thing you'll see on the ceiling is this seemingly innocent palm tree, but it's hugely symbolic. It's one of the central slogans, really, of the Confederate cause. It symbolises the Palmetto Regiment, famously hardened by incursions into Mexico before the American Civil War, so battle-hardened group, regiment, and one of the key components of the early Confederate Army later consisted of conscripts and defected soldiers, particularly generals from the north and others. Moving further into the building, you'll see the symbol of a Black Panther symbol, with more to do with another militia, and still called the Carolina Panthers, the US football team in the South in Carolina, uses the Panther symbol. The building is full of symbols. Outside, you've got 7 stars, which are symbolic of the 7 Confederate states, the ceded states from the Union. And roaming around inside, you'll quickly get a sense of why they call this the Confederate White House, because just at the corner of your eye, you'll see staircases and features of the building which are not out of keeping with what you might expect a building that is called a White House. You could be forgiven for thinking you are in the White House, in some nooks and crannies of this building, even though it's changed use. In the library, which is now a sort of meeting/study room, the former library of 19 Abercrombie Square, looking up in the ceiling, there is a fresco which was commissioned by Prelude and his wife, Mary Prelude, formerly Mary Wright, of a powerful merchant family that occupied Allerton Hall in the south of the city, and were partly to do with financing this construction at 19 Abercrombie Square. Depicting oneself in classical form was very de rigueur at the time. It was something that was considered a status symbol, especially in a fresco in an opulent home slash center point of a movement, a political movement, as much as anything else. That was financed by big bucks or vast amount of cotton coming in from the south, amongst other products. And here you'll see Mary Wright herself, still in the fabric of the building. You can look up, she's almost kind of looking over the people, the students and staff of the University of Liverpool, milling around below her. The classical form of her hair with, you can see slaves depicted in and around her. Very much tobacco stained in the Restoration, but still a sign that, amongst the other signs in the building, amongst the other symbols of the Confederacy, that are hidden in plain sight.